morning and welcome. I'm Jackie Kiffmeyer, the principal of Oshkosh North, and I'm so incredibly honored to be celebrating our veterans today. We thank each of you for taking time together to pay tribute to those who have served our country. At this time, if you know someone who is serving or who has served our country, would you please stand? Take a look. Veterans Day is larger than ourselves. Nearly every one of us knows someone who is serving, who has served our country. Thank you. You can have a seat. Today is a reminder of all the men and women who have given of themselves to protect our freedoms. Veterans, the Oshkosh North community is grateful for all you've sacrificed to protect our freedoms. It's my pleasure to welcome and introduce our MC and Student Council President, Emmeline Linsky.
Thank you, Mrs. Kiffmeyer. Good morning, students, parents, community members, and our honored guests. My name is Emmeline Linsky. I'm the Student Council President here at Oshkosh North High School. I will serve as your Master of Ceremonies today for our program. At this time, would everyone please rise and remove your headwear as the color guard performs the presentation of our nation's colors. Please remain standing and face the flag and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Please remain standing. During the War of 1812, an American lawyer named Francis Scott Key witnessed the bombardment of Fort McHenry by the British Royal Navy. Despite the horrific battle, the American flag still remained visible, and Key was so moved that he wrote lyrics about this event. Although the poem has 4 stanzas, only the first is commonly sung. Today, Braden Cooper, John Dorschner, Jack Leggett, and Peter Lowenstein will sing the 3rd stanza accompanied by piano. And then please join us as the orchestra and choir under the direction of Mr. James Dorschner and Miss Bridget Duffy Ulrich come in on the standard first verse.
Oh, thus be it ever when free men shall stand between their loved homes and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, in God is our trust, and the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, sing can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed
everyone please take your seat? We are proud to welcome our guests to the 8th Annual Veterans Day program at Oshkosh North High School. We will continue to have this program annually as we pay our respect to the people who have made the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms we enjoy. It is now my pleasure to welcome our first speaker, Mr. Bob Hoffman, who we are honored to have present the history of Veterans Day.
Ever fly. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank our new principal for keeping this on the agenda, and then the whole teachers and staff of this great school for keeping this ball rolling. And of course, our band, chorus, and orchestra. What a fantastic job you kids do. And you veterans for showing up today. You know, without you, this is really nothing. So, and last but surely not least, are all you students out there who have shown us so much hospitality and respect. Thank you. I know I've read this a few times. I know the freshmen haven't heard it, but I wish that you just pick up one thing today that maybe you hadn't heard before. Because this holiday was established years ago to honor veterans just like those seated here today that have served this great country honorably. With that said, I'll give you a little history on Veterans Day. World War I, known as the Great War, officially ended when the Treaty of Versailles was signed on June 28, 1919. However, the fighting ceased 7 months earlier when an armistice, or temporary cessation of hostilities, took place between the victorious Allies and the Central Powers. The armistice went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, 11 a.m., November 11th, 1918. In November of 1919, President Woodrow Wilson declared November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day with the following words: "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with the solemn pride of the heroism of those who died in the country's service and with gratitude for the victory." In June of 1926, the Congress officially recognized the end of World War I by a resolution which requested the President to issue a proclamation to display the flag on all government buildings on November 11th. In May of 1938, November 11th was made a legal holiday known as Armistice Day. It was to honor the veterans of World War I. In 1954, after World War II and the Korean War had ended, Armistice Day became Veterans Day. And November 11th became a day of honor all American veterans of all wars. In 1971, the observance of Veterans Day became a Monday holiday. Many states and a very great number of Americans did not agree with this decision, so in 1978, the observance of Veterans Day was returned to its original date on November 11th, regardless of what day on which it falls. The observance of Veterans Day on November 11th not only preserves the historical significance of the date, but focuses our attention on the importance of Veterans Day, a celebration to honor Americans' veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. On behalf of a grateful nation, I wish to extend to all veterans our sincere thanks and appreciation for securing the freedoms we hold so dear, whose freedoms which make the other 6.7 billion people on this planet wish they could be here with us. Godspeed.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Our music department would now like to pay tribute to our veterans with a song entitled Armed Forces, the Pride of America. The selection will feature each branch of the armed forces. The orchestra will be under the direction of Ms. Yukiko Grine. At this time, please welcome our Oshkosh North High School choir director, Ms. Bridget Duffy Ulrich, with a few comments.
Our Armed Forces Salute Medley recognizes each of the branches of our United States military. As we sing each service song, I will announce which group it represents. If you are a member of that branch, we invite you to stand as we present your song. On behalf of the music department, we thank you for your service. The United States Army.
Over dale, we will hit the dusty trail, and the caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, counter march, rise about, and the caissons go rolling along. Then it's high, ye in the field artillery. Shout out your numbers, loud and strong, for wherever you go, you will always know that the caissons go rolling along.
The United States Marines.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, then to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
The United States Navy.
Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day, day, day. One last night ashore, drink to the full, until we meet once more. Here's wishing you a happy voyage home.
The United States Coast Guard.
We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in Thee. Through surf and storm and hurricane, I shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame and glory to fight, to save, to fight and die. I Coast Guard, we are for you.
The United States Air Force.
We would now like to welcome our speaker for today, Mr. Bren Nimke. Bren Nimke is a native of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and the son of Doug and Carol Nimke. Bren graduated from Oshkosh West High School in 2002. In 2003, Bren enlisted in the Wisconsin Army National Guard, where he served 1 year before deciding to go on to active duty with the U.S. Army in 2004, where he served 3 years and earned the rank of sergeant. Bren served as a sniper with the 1st Infantry Division, Big Red 1, at Fort Riley, Kansas, until receiving an honorable medical discharge as a result of an injury he received while serving in Iraq. Bren is a graduate of the U.S. Army Infantry School, U.S. Army Combative School, U.S. Army Sniper School, and the U.S. Army Airborne School. His military awards and decorations include the Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Iraq Campaign Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Army Service Ribbon, Overseas Service Ribbon, U.S. Army Parachutist Badge, Expert Infantry Badge, and 2006 Soldier of the Year for the 16th Infantry Regiment. Bren has a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice from UW-Oshkosh, a Master of Arts degree in Sociology from UW-Milwaukee, and is currently attending the graduate school at the University of Notre Dame. Bren currently lives in Waterford, Wisconsin with his wife Robin and his 2 daughters Madeline and Mackenzie. Please welcome Bren Nimke.
Good morning. Thank you for the introduction. Principal Kiffmeyer, students and guests, I am humbled and honored to be able to speak to you today. Before I begin, I would like to thank my parents, Doug and Carol Nimke, my grandparents, Gunnery Sergeant Al and Joan Nimke, who each have had a profound influence on my life, and without them, I would not have been able to pursue my dream of serving in the military. Last but not least, I would like to thank my wife, Robin, who was with me through every day of military service. Robin had the most difficult job of the 2 of us because as an Army wife, she not only supported me in everything I did, but also tolerated my decision to volunteer for every crazy thing that I did. All too often, we honor veterans, but not their spouses, who serve beside them and keep life going at home in our absence. Thank you. Veterans Day is the day that we honor the brave men and women who have served in the armed forces. But what makes a veteran special? Why should we honor veterans? The reason is because every veteran took an oath and signed a contract to defend the United States of America. In doing so, they signed a blank check that was made out to the United States of America for the cost of freedom. The check is worth up to the cost of their life. I'll say that again. The check is worth up to the cost of their life. If you think about it, that is a remarkable act. Someone who doesn't know you has offered to give their life to protect you and your freedom. That is what it means to serve this country, and that is the sacrifice every veteran is willing to make. That is what makes veterans special, and that is why we honor our veterans today. Service in the military is special, and those who have served each have their own reasons for serving. Some join to see the world, others for adventure, some for the education benefits, others because of a family history, and still others were drafted. I enlisted because serving in the military was what I had dreamed of doing since I was 4 years old. I grew up in a family with a proud military and patriotic history. At the age of 19, I enlisted in the U.S. Army, and that decision has had a profound impact on my life. Whatever the reason for joining is, each veteran has experiences that change their life, and they leave the military a much different person. As any veteran would tell you, you can leave the military, but the military will never leave you. Throughout my time in the Army, I had the opportunity to do some amazing things. I experienced the best of times and some difficult times. Whether good or bad, each experience has shaped me into who I am today. I served as a sergeant and a sniper with the famed 1st Infantry Division, the Big Red One, at Fort Riley, Kansas, and at Al-Assad, Iraq. I was assigned to Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 16th Infantry Regiment, the Bandidos. Some of the best men that I have ever had the pleasure to know and to call my brothers. I'm a graduate of the U.S. Army Infantry School, U.S. Army Airborne School, Combatives Hand-to-Hand Combat School, Designated Marksman Course, and the U.S. Army Sniper School. In 2006, I was honored to be chosen as the Soldier of the Year for the 16th Infantry Regiment. However, to this day, the lessons I learned at Sniper School have contributed to my success as a civilian. An example of this is before I enlisted, I had completed 1.5 years of college at UW Oshkosh. I was an average student, but by no means exceptional. If I remember right, I think I had a 2.2 or a 2.5 GPA. Upon leaving the military, after I was injured in Iraq, I returned to UW Oshkosh to complete my bachelor's degree. I made the Dean's List every semester. I was awarded the Chancellor's Award for Academic Excellence, and I graduated cum laude. I went on to earn a master's degree from UW-Milwaukee, and I'm currently a graduate student at the University of Notre Dame. How is this possible? It was possible because of 3 lessons I learned while serving in the military. If you don't remember anything else from this speech, I hope you remember these 3 things. They'll literally change your life. Number 1, you are capable of more than you think you are. So dream big, set lofty goals, and shoot for the stars. You have to push yourself. At Sniper School, the instructors will bring you to the point of muscle failure. Not fatigue, but to the point at which your muscles literally stop working. This builds mental toughness and teaches you that your mind will quit well before your body does. Every time I reached muscle failure, I would keep pushing and do one more, and then another. And I learned that I was capable of far more than my mind kept telling me that I was. So don't be afraid to push through tough times as you follow your dreams. Number 2, be patient. Achieving big dreams takes time, hard work, and attention to detail. Achieving greatness doesn't happen overnight. At Sniper School, the stalk lanes are where a majority of students fail because they lack patience. Sometimes, to get into the perfect position required crawling 1 inch at a time over hundreds of yards. It is easy to go too fast, but those that do, those that cut corners, those that don't pay attention to detail, are caught and they fail. Those who are patient, who pay attention to details, who take their time, who crawl the inch at a time, are able to get into the position and take the shot and succeed. Sometimes, as you pursue your dreams, it will require you to go slow. Take your time, stay focused, and pay attention to the details. Third, be stubborn. Don't let anyone or anything stand in your way, including yourself. I was not good at math. In fact, I was horrible at math. But I learned to master the mathematical calculations required to be a sniper because I refused to quit. And that's a trait that is instilled in every veteran in this room when you enter military service. Sometimes the loudest voice telling you that you can't is your own. At Sniper School, there were times when my mind kept telling me I could not learn the math. I had to be stubborn to stop listening to it. As you work towards achieving your goals, do not be afraid to be stubborn and block out those voices, even if that voice is your own, telling you that you can't do it. In closing, if you want to thank veterans for their service and sacrifice, all you have to do is this: live your life to the fullest potential. Take advantage of the freedoms that you've been given. Dream big. Set lofty goals, goals that are impossible. Be patient as you put in the hard work needed to accomplish them, and be stubborn. Pay attention to the details. Never quit on yourself or your dreams. If you do this, you will have embodied the traits of veterans and the traits that veterans carry with them every day. It is traits that they learned in military service. And if you live this way, you will have lived a life of thanks for everyone who has served this great country. Thank you, and God bless.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I
They asked me to do a slideshow, so I'll flip through these and kind of give you a brief explanation. This was where it all began. Rob and my wife, my youngest daughter, my oldest daughter, Madeline now. This was graduation from basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia, and the infantry school. This was at the 16th Infantry Regimental Ball before we deployed to Iraq in 2006, and that is the Soldier of the Year award. The two individuals in this photo, this gentleman was one of the most amazing people that I ever have had the pleasure to meet. He was on the D-Day invasion to Normandy as a private. He was shot and wounded in the first 30 seconds on the beach. He stayed in the Army, actually healed up and fought to the end of World War II and served all the way through Vietnam. He ended up retiring as a colonel, and it was an honor to be able to meet him and his wife and share a meal with them at the banquet. This man had a profound influence in my military career. This was my first sergeant, who's now a command sergeant major in the Army, and that was now Command Sergeant Major Chris Johnson. And he was the one that always pushed me to my limit, and because of what he did, I was able to do what I was able to do in the military. Just a picture of the trophy from Soldier of the Year. My wife and I at the ball. I was only a specialist at that time. And this is I want to say it was 1 or 2 days before we actually deployed. A lot younger, a lot more hair. But age will do that to you, so. And again, just a picture of me getting ready to leave. And this was my home in Iraq, Kansas City, Chewville. And that's where I spent a little bit of time when I got some time to sleep. Just some pictures of Al-Assad Air Base. Those barriers are filled with sand, and they kind of mark out a maze of where you can go, and they're used for protective purposes as well. The air raid shelter, which is right outside of my hut, and where we would have to go if there were mortar or rocket attacks. Just a picture of a Humvee. And there's the famed Chewville, Kansas City sign. This isn't a picture I pull out very often. This was actually a wanted poster that my platoon sergeant pulled off of a wall of a building. And surprise, surprise, it was me. And the arrow is pointing to my wedding band. I refused to take off my wedding band. And that was not necessarily the smartest thing, but like I said, I'm stubborn, and I was not going to go through combat without my wedding band on. Picture of my wife Robin and I at a military wedding in San Antonio. I'm really fortunate. I'm married to quite a beautiful lady. I don't know what she sees in me. And this was a picture at the Memorial Day procession here in Oshkosh. And I believe that is the end of my slideshow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nimke. Our Oshkosh North Chorale would now like to add their thanks to our nation's veterans by performing the song Armistice 1918, Everyone Sang, under the direction of Miss Bridget Duffy Ulrich and accompanied by Mr. Herb Berenson. Please welcome Miranda Leggett to introduce the piece.
Siegfried Sassoon's poem, Everyone Sang, was written in the April of 1919, shortly after the end of World War I. Sassoon was an officer in the British Army, and even though he didn't serve on the front lines, it is safe to assume that his experiences during the war had a profound impact on his life and work. Everyone Sang is a poem about a temporary and spontaneous desire to sing as a way of keeping one's spirits up during a time of death, warfare, and uncertainty. The composer, Craig Carnahan, uses the contrasting moods of the poem in this arrangement. Sometimes the sound is ecstatic and exuberant, and at other times subdued and reflective. There is a joy that the war is over and a sadness at the tremendous loss. As we remember this horrific war 100 years later, we sing as a celebration of the resiliency of the human spirit. Thank you.
Would everyone please rise as Mr. James Dorschner plays taps as we remember those who have given their lives to defend our country. Please remain standing as the color guard retires our nation's colors. Please be seated. Mrs. Gifford.
As we conclude today's honoring of our veterans, I'd like to leave you with a final thought. Veterans Day is the support of America and the incredible network of veterans, both young and old. The people who have raised their right hands and voluntarily committed their service to our country to ensure its safety and security. November 11th is a day to recognize those who have served and to pause in a moment and reflect on the importance of the combined impact of this great country and the immense sacrifice of the fallen heroes. Knowing that the country they fought for stands behind them is incredibly powerful and inspiring, but often not recognized. I'd like to take a moment to read a short poem by Joanna Fox, titled, "Take a Moment to Thank a Veteran." When you see someone in uniform, someone who serves us all, doing military duty, answering their country's call, take a moment to thank them for protecting what you hold dear. Tell them you're proud of them, make it very clear. Give a smile and say, thanks for what you're doing to keep us safe in the USA. So even after Veterans Day this year, I'd like to encourage you the next time you're in the airport or walking in the mall and you come across a veteran to shake his or her hand and say thank you for your service. Every single time a veteran receives this recognition, they are reminded of the pride this country has for their service. I'd like to be the first to say thank you to all our veterans here today. Please join me in showing your gratitude for our veterans here by giving them a round of applause. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Emma for doing a wonderful job emceeing and Mr. Nimke for speaking today. We appreciate both of you. This concludes our celebration today. We'd start by dismissing our veterans, and once our veterans have left the gymnasium, we'll return to second hour for the school body. Thank you for coming.